Have you noticed how in today's world, the people who seem most respected, most admired, are not the ones always saying yes, but the ones who know when to say no? Think about it. Elon Musk ignores thousands of emails a day. Beyoncé rarely gives interviews. Even Apple, the company, famously says no to hundreds of ideas just to focus on a few. And what happens? People don't lose interest. Quite the opposite. They lean in closer, they pay attention. Now let's bring this back to your life. How many times have you exhausted yourself trying to be available to everyone? Friends, colleagues, family, strangers on the internet, just to end up drained, frustrated, and invisible. And yet the moment you set a boundary, the moment you say no, suddenly the room changes. People notice. Some get angry, some pull away, but others finally see you as a person, not a tool. This is the paradox of modern life. The more available you are, the less you are valued. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." But today, I'd like you to ask yourself, why does it irritate people so much when you stop being available? Why do they get desperate, angry, or even guilt trip you when you finally say no? The answer reveals more about them than about you. We live in the age of notifications. Messages demand instant replies. Work emails arrive at midnight. Friends expect you to like every post, join every event, be available for every call. And somewhere along the way, society convinced us that this is normal, that being always available is a sign of kindness, dedication, even love. But let's look at the reality. Do you know what happens when you reply to every text instantly? People stop respecting your time. Do you know what happens when you agree to every request at work? You get overburdened, while the promotion goes to the person who actually set boundaries. Do you know what happens when you say yes to every friend who needs help? Eventually you realize they only call you in crisis, not because they value you, but because you're reliable. Being excessively available is not a virtue. It is a trap. Consider Simone Biles, the Olympic gymnast. At the Tokyo Games, she shocked the world when she withdrew from several competitions to protect her mental health. Some people criticized her, but many more applauded her courage to say no. No to pressure, no to expectations, no to sacrificing her well-being just to please the crowd. And in that moment, her respect didn't diminish. It grew, because people secretly admire those who set boundaries, even when they pretend to be offended by them. But here's the question. If saying no is so powerful, why does it feel so terrifying? The answer lies in psychology. Since childhood, many of us were conditioned to believe our worth lies in how much we do for others. A good child helps. A good employee stays late. A good friend answers the phone at 2 a.m. This conditioning created what Jung called the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted. And in modern times, that mask has merged with digital culture. We create availability as an identity. I'm always here for you. DM me anytime. Work never stops. But beneath the mask is exhaustion. Every forced yes is a small act of self-abandonment. Every time you respond out of guilt, you surrender a piece of your energy. And the cruel truth? The more available you are, the less value people give you. Think of WhatsApp or Instagram. A friend who rarely posts, when they do share something, everyone pays attention. But the friend who floods your feed daily, you scroll past without noticing, that's exactly how human availability works. Scarcity creates value. Carl Jung believed the psyche is an energy system. Every thought, every emotion, every action consumes energy. The question is, do you spend that energy consciously, or do you let others drain it for free? Every time you reply to a message you didn't want to, you lose energy. Every time you agree to a meeting that didn't need you, you lose energy. Every time you force yourself to smile, help, explain, justify, you are draining psychic energy that could have been used to grow, to create, to rest. And what happens when energy runs low? You become reactive, vulnerable, easy to manipulate. Opportunistic people sense this. Just like advertisers exploit your attention, toxic people exploit your availability. They know that if they press the right button, guilt, pity, fear, you'll say yes. But the day you start saying no, the game changes. Modern manipulation is rarely loud. It's quiet. It shows up as guilt. Why didn't you reply? You're not the same anymore. You're selfish for not helping. Sound familiar? These are not honest criticisms. They are strategies. When you always say yes, you are predictable. You're like a free app that anyone can download and use. But when you start saying no, people panic because you're breaking the role they cast you in. Think of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Agree or disagree with their choices, but when they said no to the royal family's traditional expectations, the entire world reacted. Why? Because they stopped playing the role everyone else wanted them to play. And once they withdrew, projections fell apart. People had to face uncomfortable truths about monarchy, family, and power. That is the power of saying no. It doesn't just change you, it forces others to confront themselves. But let's be honest, saying no is not easy. The silence that follows is uncomfortable. You may lose friends, you may get criticized, people may call you arrogant, cold, or selfish. But look deeper. Are they upset because you truly harm them? Or because you stop serving their convenience? True respect is not built when you are always available. It is built when people know your time, your energy, your presence has weight, that it cannot be taken for granted. Look at Steve Jobs. Famous for rejecting thousands of ideas, he once said, "It's only by saying no that you can concentrate on the things that are really important." His entire legacy at Apple was built not on endless availability, but on ruthless focus. And the same applies to your life. When you say no to noise, you say yes to clarity. When you say no to manipulation, you say yes to peace. When you say no to what drains you, you say yes to what builds you. So how do you apply this today? Start small. Don't answer every message instantly. Let people wait. Decline the meeting that doesn't need you. Say no to the friend who only calls when they want something. Set do not disturb and mean it. At first, people will resist. Some will guilt trip you, some will leave. But remember, those who leave because you stop being available were never really with you. The ones who stay, those are the people who value you, not just your availability. And here's the paradox. The less available you become, the more valuable your presence feels. When you do show up, people pay attention. When you do speak, people listen. Because you're no longer background noise, you're a signal. Carl Jung wrote, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Saying no is uncomfortable because it forces people to face the darkness of their dependence, their need, their manipulation. But it also forces you to face your fear of rejection. And once you survive that silence, something powerful happens. You realize your worth was never in how much you did for others. Your worth was in your being, your energy, your focus. So I'll leave you with this question. In a world that constantly demands your yes, are you brave enough to say no? Because when you stop being available to everyone, you finally become available to yourself. If this message resonated with you, take a moment, pause before your next automatic yes. And if you're ready to explore more on psychology, philosophy, and self-mastery, subscribe to the channel.